Hi guys, my name's Chris. I'm here representing the engine room, and I'm here today. Lucky to have Vicky here from Team GB, and we thought we'd put this video together to help just discuss a few points around learning to row. What are the pain points and what's the journey, and just to give you guys a little bit of advice on how what to look for, what's good rowing, how to improve it, how to go on that journey of getting fit using one of these machines. So we've just been discussing like top tips. Should we start with what you just showed me in terms of getting a better connection with the rower?
So definitely rowing is, sometimes people think about it as an upper body exercise, but it's very much about the legs. So probably 60% of the power of the stroke comes from the legs, and 30% from the body and the back, and then literally just 10% of the arms. So you want to be thinking about when you've got your feet on the foot stretcher and then you've tied them in. We can just do a basic exercise without using the handle, so you concentrate on pressing the feet. So naturally you want to think about pulling the handle, but we want to think about pressing our feet against this foot plate, so you can engage our legs more and feel that connection in the lower body and take it out of the upper body. So I would literally just have my hands as if I had the handle, and just think about driving my legs, keeping my body still, and just that is the first part of the drive of the stroke. Everything is still. All that's happening is your knees are dropping down and away from your chest. That is literally it. So really basics, but that is where you're going to generate the most power.
Yeah. And why did you were saying you felt it was better to do it like that than to hold the handle, or just gives people maybe a little bit less sensory feedback? So just, is that how you feel about it? Like it's just...
Yeah, even in the boat sometimes I, just because we're so used to touching things with our hands, it is a feedback that we're so used to, and we don't concentrate on how my feet are feeling in the boat. So I've been rowing years and years and years, I have to sometimes consciously think how my feet are feeling and make sure I press the foot plate rather than just try and work the handles, because that's how to generate more boat speed and better scores in your rower. So yeah, it just takes out that complication and just simplifies it down for you. So it's just an easy exercise to get the technique.
Cool. So if someone started with that and they just started to get a feeling of thinking, okay, yeah, I get it, I can feel that my legs are initiating that movement, what do people need to think about next?
So then it's about bringing the body in. So as the legs come up, moving downwards, so when you come to about probably 3/4 of the legs from full compression, so that's flat legs, about 3/4, then that's when you want to think about opening the back and opening the chest up and using the back. So using your back muscles, like hanging off the handle, keeping those arms nice and straight, so you're using all your back and your core exercises to hold you up. And then once you're getting towards the back fully open, that's when you bring the arms in at the last minute. So that part of the stroke is a lot about the power through your glute muscles, your back muscles, and also your core muscles to keep you supported and supporting kind of the back and the core. So that's what's great about these machines, so it's a whole body workout.
Yeah. Well, when I coach it, one of the analogies I use is like a domino effect. So from the front or from the back, you've got one domino knocking into the other. So from the front, with the catch position, you've got the legs, then the body, then the arms, at that ratio of kind of 60% legs, 30% torso, 10% arms. But one of the things I find that people find really difficult is to get that sequence. So maybe they can do it in isolation, just the legs, or then the legs and the body, or the legs, body and the arms. Have you got any tips or advice on how someone, how they make it from, I call it rowing from robot to rhythm, right? So you're rowing like a robot, and on purposely we do that because it makes people really understand each section in isolation, but then often when it comes to putting it all together, are there any cues or because it's quite a sensation-driven machine, how do you make that, how do you know when to go through from the legs to the body to the arms? Is there any cues?
So I think you should think about the handle speed, kind of speeding up through the drive. So the handle, it's like when you're squatting, at the bottom of a squat, you're going to be moving at the slowest velocity than when you get to the top, because you've got more, your limbs are in a weaker position, if you like. So the deeper the squat, the harder it is. Effectively, a short squat, you can lift more weight.
Yes.
So with this, in terms of this catch position, that's when the handle will be moving slowest, and then you want to think of it picking up speed as you get through to the back.
That's good.
So if you're feeling like that, that will give you more of an idea as to once the handle starts giving a little bit and getting a bit quicker, that's when you want to start bringing your body in.
Yeah, nice. Okay, yeah, that works.
That might be like a more of a feeling thing that might help.
That works. And so, in the same light as what you just said, being that the beginning is the slowest into acceleration, then I guess that then leads into someone in the recovery phase, and how much time to recover the arms, the body, and the legs.
Yeah.
So in probably the term arms body slide or legs body arms is used a lot. But sometimes we use the analogy of punch, because from the back we want someone to think quick in that initial phase. So the words that we use in an environment where there's a lot, big group, can resonate differently. So when you just say the word arms, often people don't associate that with any speed. So from the back, we tend to use the phrase punch, because then you think punch, you've got to do that quick. Lean is slightly slower, so you lean in and then recover. And the word recover just sounds like you're doing it for a longer period of time, rather than arms body slide. So these little things I've noticed with people sometimes make a difference. Doesn't always work, but so on the recovery, how long should someone spend on each part of that recovery?
So in terms of actual time, or
in terms of maybe the ratio of time compared to arms body.
Yes, there's going to be a lot more once you've gone from arms away, lean the body over. This part is going to be, there's a lot more time once you're moving on the slide. So that's the bit where you want to think, I can just take the time and relax. So once your knees are breaking, then there's a slight gradient obviously on the slide, so it'll take you forward as well as the handle will help you fall forward. But it's just about enjoying that part of the recovery and relaxing as much as you can, so then you can use as much effort in the drive phase. So that's what's a beautiful art about rowing. I suspect it's like there's maximal power and endurance involved in rowing, but also it's the art of the relaxation and the recovery part of it. In the boat, obviously, that's the efficiency of it, but on the indoor rower, it's about kind of the efficiency of your how much you're working. So the more relaxation and recovery you can get on the slide on the recovery part, the more work you can put into the drive part.
So when someone says to you, if someone asks you where do you breathe? I get asked that question all the time. What would you say?
I have a tendency to actually breathe out, and it's actually quite loud at the finish position. And for me, it's more of a kind of a rhythm thing that I just into a habit I've got into. I do it in the boat and on the indoor row.
A bit like Monica Seles, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does it unnerve your fellow GB?
They probably just find it really annoying when they hear me going around the lake. But yes, I'd say I breathe out at the finish, and it's a kind of a way to brace as well in that position. But then I would say you can use your breathing as a rhythm thing, like I do, but more it's just I breathe when I need to. But you want to create some form of rhythm, so I think breathing out in the finish position is a good way to think about it, and then the rest of it, try not to overthink it, I would say. And because the higher the intensity of the session gets, the more breaths you're going to have to take per stroke, whereas if it's a lower intensity, it's less breaths. So I'd say don't overthink it, but maybe a place to start if you want to concentrate on your breathing, which is obviously a really great way to exercise if you're thinking about your breathing, is breathing out at the finish position.
Okay. And then, so you talked about relaxation being probably really essential with rowing because that level of intensity is quite high on the effort phase. How do you how do you get into switching state quite quickly, right? Because from my experience, from being so performance related in one direction, maximum power, max explosion, your whole body's on. How do you switch from that to suddenly dropping into like relaxation?
Yeah, I think it's there's a rhythm to it. And it does take practice. It's not something. This isn't a natural movement for the human body, but it's in a very kind of rowing for me and for a lot of people is very addictive because it can never be perfect, and the stroke I'm always working on how I can get a more effective stroke. Yeah. So if you think you can come in and get on the indoor row for the first time and be able to row properly, that's a pretty big ask. Even at Olympic rowers, I've been to 2 Olympic Games, and I'm constantly, even on the indoor rower, there's obviously more technique involved in the boat, but even on the indoor rower, there's a lot of technique involved, and I'm constantly trying to improve that and try and get my stroke as efficient as possible. So it's very much the rhythm part will come as you do more of it, and that will help with the relaxation. But also it is just about practice and consciously thinking like drive, recover, and just maybe using some words like that, and just try and think about when you come off the back, think about just letting the handle like rest a little bit and kind of take you rather than trying to force it.
Yes.
Let the handle and the slide do it for you.
Yeah.
As I say, it's got a gradual gradient, so it will take you forward into the fan.
Yeah. And if you earlier on were talking about flexibility being something that might restrain or restrict, someone's range of movement, because everybody, from my experience, different body shapes. Some people have got shorter legs, some people have got shorter torsos, some people are more flexible than others. So, what should someone look out for in terms of like flexibility issues they might face whilst they row, and what's good and bad with that?
So I think one thing that you can change on here is obviously the feet height, and you can move these up and down. So people often think of this as just foot size, but actually, if you've got longer legs, you don't want your knees kind of like right up here by your throat. You want them, around kind of just above chest height. So you can alter this. If you've got longer legs and a shorter body, obviously you want to have these lower, so your knees are lower, and that enables you to get into a better position. If you think about it, if your knees are up kind of here, it's really hard to get that lean, whereas if they're lower down, you can get that rocking position better. But I'd say for a lot of people, the tight hamstrings are often an issue. So that's going to affect your ability to lean over on the recovery. So working on hamstring flexibility will definitely help. And on the indoor row as well, you use a lot of kind of hip flexors. So stretching hamstrings and hip flexors are kind of go-tos, I say, to help with the kind of the movement.
100%. Okay. And we find probably one of the next biggest problems is people that are shorter struggling to have to recover longer than they are in that effort phase, because their lower body limbs are shorter, so that they haven't got as much play to go with. Unless you're 6'4", then that. So, have you got any tips for people that are shorter in terms of how? Because it seems as if they try and move like a little bit like a metronome, so the rhythm becomes 1 in, 1 out. Rather than obviously we're trying to coach them to do 1 out, 2 in, so they're really forcing recovery. But you get someone that's tight hamstrings and they're shorter and they're quite upright and there's no rock over and they're leaning forwards and backwards. Any advice on that?
I'd say you can use the rates, the strokes per minute to help with that. So one good thing, if you are shorter, the recovery time technically should be a little bit longer if you're the same stroke rate as someone taller, because they've got further to go in the same amount of time. But I would just say controlling the rate, so if you rate slightly lower, so around 20 to 24, it just gives you the time to kind of feel what you're doing and get an idea of the relationship.
Yes, yeah.
On the way forward as well as on the way back. But I'd say that you will get more out of it if you try and improve flexibility. There's kind of not really necessarily a shortcut to that. You will find if you just do a little bit of stretching, it will really make an impact.
Yeah, yeah.
And then allow you to get more out of the machine and the session.
Yeah, great.